The small town of Bayta, nestled deep within the forests of Vietnam, had stood for centuries, its history etched into the ancient temples and cobbled streets. The town was peaceful, untouched by the modern world, and its beating heart was the Great Lake. For generations, the people of Bayta had depended on the lake for everything: drinking water, farming, and even rituals for prosperity. The lake was their guardian, their lifeline. But something was changing. Strange bubbles had been rising from the depths of the lake. At first, people dismissed it as a natural phenomenon, but as days passed, the bubbling grew more frequent and intense. Those who bathed in the lake felt something shift beneath them, like something stirring in its slumber, something awakening. The whispers of fear began spreading through the town, and soon, the elders were consulted, but they had no answers. It was then that an old man, one of the last surviving members of an ancient lineage, spoke. "Go to the monastery on the hill," he said. "Speak to the Sadhu Baba. He knows things we do not. If anyone can explain this, it is him." A small group of villagers, including the old man, made their way to the monastery. There, in the dim candlelight of the monastery's main hall, they found Sadhu Baba. He sat cross-legged before an altar, deep in meditation. The air inside the monastery felt strange, charged with something beyond human comprehension. The village chief hesitated before speaking. "Baba, we have come with a question about our lake." Sadhu Baba opened his eyes, and for a moment, there was something hauntingly knowing in them. "Tell me," he said, his voice low and steady. The chief explained everything: the bubbling, the unsettling sensation, and the growing fear in the town. The moment the words left his lips, Sadhu Baba's expression changed. His calmness vanished, replaced by something that looked like dread. "It has begun," he muttered. The villagers exchanged nervous glances. "What do you mean, Baba?" the old man asked. Sadhu Baba looked at them, his face pale, his hands clenched into fists. "Leave," he said. "All of you. If you wish to live, abandon your homes and go far away." As she is about to return, a chill crept into the bones of everyone present. "Who?" the village chief whispered. Sadhu Baba took a deep breath. "An evil force," he said. "One that was imprisoned beneath the lake 300 years ago. And now, she is waking up." The villagers begged him to explain. With a deep sigh, Sadhu Baba began his tale. Centuries ago, before this town was built, a dark sorceress named Ma Lien walked this land. She was no ordinary woman. She practiced the forbidden arts, drawing power from suffering and fear. She slaughtered, she cursed, and she brought ruin wherever she walked. The villagers listened in terrified silence. "My ancestors," Sadhu Baba continued, "were sent by the sages to stop her. After an immense battle, they captured her soul and sealed it inside a blackened clay urn, which they've buried deep within the lake, never to be disturbed again." He looked at them with dark, knowing eyes. "But something has changed. The seal is weakening. And if she returns..." The flames of the candles flickered violently. "She will consume everything." The villagers were horrified. "Is there no way to stop it?" someone asked. Sadhu Baba closed his eyes. "There is one way," he admitted, "but it is dangerous." Sadhu Baba explained that the only way to prevent Ma Lien's return was to reperform the ancient sealing ritual, but it required a sacrifice. "A soul must willingly offer itself," he said, "to hold the seal in place for another 300 years. The room fell into silence. Nobody wanted to be the one to give up their life. Then, the old man who had first suggested going to the monastery stepped forward. "I will do it," he said. The village chief tried to stop him, but the old man shook his head. "I have lived long enough," he said. "If my death can save my children and my grandchildren, then it is a worthy price." Sadhu Baba nodded solemnly. "Then we must begin at once." That night, the ritual began. The entire town gathered by the lake, forming a protective circle of oil lamps and incense. Sadhu Baba stood at the water's edge, chanting in an ancient tongue, his voice echoing through the valley. The old man knelt before the lake, eyes closed in acceptance. Then, the water exploded. A monstrous black mist surged upward, twisting and writhing into the shape of a woman, her face cracked and hollow, her eyes two black voids. Ma Lien had returned. The wind screamed, and the town trembled. "Fools!" her voice hissed, shaking the ground. "You think you can stop me again?" With a shriek, she lunged forward, her clawed fingers aiming for Sadhu Baba. The old monk raised his staff, chanting louder, creating a barrier of light that held her back. But it would not last. "Now!" Sadhu Baba shouted. The old man stepped into the lake, walking straight toward the blackened urn that had risen from the depths. Ma Lien screamed as the old man placed his hands upon the urn. "By my soul, I seal you once more," he cried. The lake roared, the sky split with thunder, and Ma Lien's form began to collapse, sucked back into the urn. She let out a final, ear-piercing shriek, and then she was gone. The lake fell silent, the water settled, and the old man collapsed, his body lifeless, his spirit now the guardian of the seal. The battle was over. The town mourned the old man's sacrifice, but they knew that his soul now protected them. Sadhu Baba gave one final warning. "Never disturb the lake again," he said. "She is bound, but the seal is not unbreakable." Years passed. The bubbles never returned. The lake remained silent, undisturbed. But some nights, when the moon hung low and red, the villagers whispered that they could still hear something beneath the water. Something waiting, something watching. The end.